Hey everybody, it's Brother Chaplain Kage back for part 2 of smoothing green stuff. You can see right here I've got the lump of putty I used as an example in the first part, and I intentionally let it cure with some tool marks in it. But you can also see some of these little bumps. Those happen sometimes when curing with a putty oven using heat to cure it faster. In this video, I'm going to show you how to clean up some of these problems after the green stuff is cured and you didn't get it perfectly smooth the first time around. So you're going to take a fresh blade in your hobby knife, nice and super sharp, and what you're going to do is you're going to hold it at a 90-degree angle to the green stuff like this, and in a similar motion to smoothing from the first video when it was wet, you're just going to very lightly drag the edge of the blade over the putty and slowly remove the top layer. Now you want to go easy with this because you don't want to remove too much at a time, and similar to the first video, if you use too much pressure, you put tool marks into the putty. If you use too much pressure on this part, you're going to dig gouges into it and possibly even nick the putty if you're not careful. All right? And just very slowly keep working, a little bit at a time, and you can begin to see how it's evening out those low spots, taking the high areas down. They're almost gone now. And you just keep working at it, slowly removing the material, working those high spots down like this. All right, get those crumbs off there. See how much smoother that looks? Let me get some other angles on it here. Now, I can tell by the feel of the knife on the putty that it's smooth, but it may not look like it due to these dark lines that were left in the putty from the first episode where I was showing how you put in the deep tool marks. But if I turn it sideways and run the edge of the blade over it, you can see how it doesn't catch on anything. See? Nice and smooth. Now, I always finish up a scrape job like this with some sanding, like the 600 grit wet dry paper I have here, to polish up the surface and get rid of any residual marks left from the blade. Now, you can also use the sandpaper by itself if it's a light job that doesn't require the knife to remove a lot of material. Now, if you do that, I suggest you use at least 600 grit, and I also have 8 and 1200 on hand if I need it. But I want to talk for a second about safety while you're doing this. Now, the Polymetric website says that green stuff is non-toxic, which means you don't need any special equipment to handle it. But on the FAQ, it says you should not breathe any of the dust from it. So that's why I always wet sand. And when I'm done sanding, I dump the water at the end of the night so it doesn't dry out in the dish and get all that dust in the air. You can see in the reflection here how smooth that is. And it's just like glass. Right, and that's it for smoothing green stuff after it's cured.